US President Joe Biden said on Wednesday he will withdraw remaining US troops from the forever war in Afghanistan, declaring that September 11 attacks cannot justify American forces still being there 20 years after the deadliest terror assault on the United States. His plan is to pull out all American forces, numbering 2,500 now, by this September 11 anniversary of the attacks which were coordinated from Afghanistan. The US cannot continue to pour resources into an intractable war and expect different results, Mr. Biden said. The drawdown would begin rather than conclude by May 1, which has been the deadline for full withdrawal under a peace agreement the Trump administration reached with the Taliban last year. It is time to end America's longest war, Mr. Biden said. But he added that the US will not conduct a hasty rush to the exit. We cannot continue the cycle of extending or expanding our military presence in Afghanistan, hoping to create the ideal conditions for our withdrawal, expecting a different result, said Mr. Biden, who delivered his address from the White House Treaty Room, the same location where President George W. Bush announced the start of the war. I am now the fourth United States president to preside over an American troop presence in Afghanistan. 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. I will not pass this responsibility to a fifth. The decision marks perhaps the most significant foreign policy decision for Mr. Biden in the early going of his presidency. He has long been skeptical about the US presence in Afghanistan, as Barack Obama's vice president, Mr. Bidden, was a lonely voice in the administration who advised the 44th president to tilt towards a small counter-terrorism role in the country, while military advisors were urging a troop buildup to counter Taliban gains. Mr. Biden has also made clear he wants to recalibrate US foreign policy to face bigger challenges posed by China and Russia. Withdrawing all US troops comes with clear risk. It could boost the Taliban's effort to claw back power and undo gains towards democracy and women's rights made over the past 2 decades. It also opens Mr. Biden to criticism, mostly Republicans and some Democrats, even though former President Donald Trump had also wanted a full withdrawal. This administration has decided to abandon US efforts in Afghanistan, which have helped keep radical Islamic terrorism in check, said Senate Republican Mitch McConnell, and bizarrely they have decided to do so by September 11th. While Mr. Biden's decision keeps US forces in Afghanistan 4 months longer than initially planned, it sets a firm end to 2 decades of war that killed more than 2,200 US troops, wounded 20,000, and cost as much as $1 trillion. Mr. Biden spoke with Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani on Wednesday ahead of his speech. The White House said in a statement that Mr. Biden told Mr. Ghani the United States would continue to support the Afghan people through development, humanitarian, and security assistance. The Islamic Republic of Afghanistan respects the US decision, and we will work with our US partners to ensure a smooth transition, Mr. Ghani said in a Twitter posting. Mr. Biden spoke too with former President Bush ahead of announcing his decision. He also spoke with allies, military leaders, lawmakers, and President Kamala Harris to help make his decision, according to the White House. He emphasized that his administration will continue to support peace talks between Afghan government and the Taliban and assist international efforts to train the Afghan military. Mr. Biden noted that forever war has led to service members who weren't even alive at the time of September 11 attacks, serving, as well as young troops following in the steps of their mothers and fathers in deploying to Afghanistan. The war in Afghanistan was never meant to be a multi-generational undertaking, Biden said. Mr. Obama, who had hoped but ultimately failed to end the war during his time in office, said in a statement that he supported Mr. Biden's decision, that it is time to recognize that we have accomplished all that we can militarily and that it's time to bring our remaining troops home. News Desk, Kaumudy English.